Hello guys, welcome back to the channel. So today we are going to discuss the topmost ask interview questions for React. Okay, so if you are appearing for a full stack developer interview, or if you are appearing for a front end developer interview, okay, so these are the most often asked interview questions. So be there till end. We are going to discuss the interview questions as well as the best possible answers which interviewer is going to ask. Okay, so if you like this kind of content, then please do subscribe the channel and share the content with your friends. Maybe this kind of content will help them if they are preparing for any job interview. Okay, so let's go straight into the first question. So the first question is explain the working of a virtual DOM. So as you all know, React.js work on a virtual DOM pattern. So Angular is something which works on a real DOM. Okay, so let's see how the virtual DOM work. Okay, so it works on three steps. So the first one is for any underlying data changes, the entire UI is rendered in virtual DOM representation. So this is your browser and this is the rendering of your UI. Okay, so it has rendered in the virtual DOM representation. So this is the two changes happened. Okay, now the next thing is the difference between the previous DOM representation and the new DOM is going to be calculated. Okay, so this is your real DOM and this is your virtual DOM. Okay, so the difference will be calculated, like what are the updated change. Okay, so it will identify the everything is same except these two particular change. Okay, so instead of re-rendering the complete thing, it is going to apply these two changes only to the real DOM. Okay, so if you see this third part, the real DOM will be updated with only the things that have actually changed. So this is your real DOM, so only these two nodes are going to be added here. So this has now your the updated DOM. Okay, so this is how the virtual DOM works in the React. Okay, so let's go to the next question. So this says, what is the difference between real DOM and virtual DOM? So as I said, real DOM works in case of Angular and virtual DOM works in case of React.js. Okay, so let's see the difference. First difference is it can directly update the HTML. However, virtual DOM cannot directly update the HTML. Okay, the second difference is real DOM creates a new DOM if elements update. Okay, so it will create a new DOM. Okay, but in case of virtual DOM, it's only going to update the existing DOM with the changes, okay, that we have seen in the previous questions. The third difference is there is too much of memory wastage in case of real DOM because it's going to create a new DOM for every a small change, but that's not the case with the virtual DOM. Okay, real DOM will update slow, however virtual DOM will update fast. DOM manipulation is very expensive, as we already know that memory wastage is there, so obviously it's become expensive. However, DOM manipulation is quite simple and easy in case of virtual DOM. Okay, so this was the difference between real DOM and virtual DOM. Let's go to the next question. So the next question says, what are the advantage of using React? Okay, so uh, the first thing is it increases the application performance. So because it works on the virtual DOM, it consumes less memory. The DOM manipulation is quite easy, so obviously it will increase the application performance. Okay, it can be used on the client side as well as the on the server side. Okay, the third thing is because of the JSX, okay, JavaScript is syntax extension, code readability has been increased. Okay, React is easy to integrate with other framework like Meteor and Angular. Okay, using React, writing UI test cases become extremely easy. So these are the advantage of using React.js. Okay, let's go to the next question. So obviously, every coin has two sides. So if there is something pros, there will be some cons also. So what are the limitation of React? Okay, so the first thing is React is just a library, not a full-blown framework. So this is one of the disadvantages. The second thing is its library is very large and takes time to understand for beginners. Okay, so if you have just started to learn React.js, obviously it will take some time for you to understand the in and out of React.js. So, but don't worry, ultimately you will be like holding some grip over React.js. The third thing is it can be little difficult for no voice programmer to understand. No voice means the someone who is starting to like learn. Okay, coding gets complex as it uses inline templating and JSX. Okay, so as we know that React.js works on the JSX. Okay, not directly HTML. Okay, so what is JSX? So JSX is a shorthand for JavaScript XML. Okay, this makes the HTML file really easy to understand. Okay, so the next question says, can browser read JSX directly? The answer will be no, browser cannot read JSX directly. Okay, so browser can only read JavaScript object that JSX in not a regular JavaScript object. Okay, यहाँ पे each होगा, right? So JSX is not a regular JavaScript object. Okay, to enable a browser to read JSX first, we need to transform JSX file into a JavaScript object. Okay, see, all the browsers will only read the JavaScript object. However, JSX is not a JavaScript object. So first what you have to do is, whatever you write in React, everything will be written in JSX. So first, the JSX file will be converted to the JavaScript object with the help of transformer. Okay. And then once it gets converted to the JavaScript object, the browser is going to read it. So in order to convert the JSX to JavaScript object, you need some kind of transformer. Okay, so we do have like Babel as a common transformer being used nowadays. Let's go to the next question. So it says, what is a state in React and how is it used? Okay, so a state is a built-in React object that is used to contain data or information about the component. Okay, a component's state can change over time. Whenever it changes, the component re-renders. Okay, so let's see some examples. So this is your one of the class component. Okay, form class component. Okay, so here what we are doing is, we are declaring one component called employees. Okay, and this has three parameters: name, email, and password. Okay, so in the next part, I mean, whenever we try to update the state, okay, for this employee, so we'll be like updating the state, or let's take something like if you are kind of hitting some APIs. Okay, and with the help of that API you are getting name, email, and password. So you'll be setting the name, email, and password here using this dot set state. So that is something different. We'll be seeing that in next slide probably. So this is the use of the state in the React.js. Okay, uh, this says how can you update the state of a component. Okay, so as I was talking about the this dot set state in the previous question. Okay, so this is the same thing. So see here, so here what I have done is this dot set state. Okay, I'm declaring name as Bob and is logged in as false. So these are the two things I'm declaring. Okay, so the initial state of this name is, so initial value for name is Bob and initial value for is logged in is false. Now something happened and these things will be updated inside a React.js. So how to update this? Using this dot set state. Okay, so if you are using this dot set state and if you are writing like this, is logged in colon true, which means is logged in will be updated from false to true. Okay, the same thing, like similar examples are demonstrated here. Okay, so in my previous question I told you like employee had three fields: name. Okay, so the first was name, then email, then password. Okay, so this is how we are updating this inside the React.js. Okay, so this is how we can update it using spread operator. Okay, so so see, whenever someone changes something, okay, so this is part of form. So someone is trying to enter some value into the form, so they entered the value of name. Okay, so this function handle change, okay, will take the value of that particular input text, and this is going to be updated here inside this dot set state. So employee component is going to update all the three things: name, email, and password. Okay, let's go and see the next question. So it says, what are props? Okay, so props is a kind of like important thing when it comes to the passing the data from the one component to the other components. Okay, so props are argument passed into React components. Okay, so if you have two components, if you want to pass the data from one component to the other component, so you'll be taking the help of props. Okay, so props are passed to component via HTML attributes. Props stand for properties. Okay, so say this, I have taken one example. So this is your, so I have declared one list component. Okay, and here what I'm doing is I'm declaring one array. So that array name is employee, and inside that employee I am declaring three employees: ID, name, and city. Okay, so this employee will have three elements. All the three elements will have parameters like ID, name, and city. Okay, now I want to pass this employee parameter to the other component so that we can use this employee parameter in some other component. So how to pass it? So this is the list component. This is one of the other component where I'm passing this employee. Okay, so employee array is going to pass to this list component. Okay, so you can say this is the props. So inside this list component, if you write props dot employees, you are going to get these three elements or the employee array. So the same thing you can refer here. So this is my list component. So inside this, I'm taking help of this props. Okay, so this is nothing but my employees props. So here what I'm doing is I'm like using the map function to destructure the array, and I want to print the ID, name, and city. Okay, let's see the next question. It says what is the difference between props and a state. Okay, so props is something which are read only. Okay, a state changes can be asynchronous. Okay, props are immutable, however a state is mutable. Props can be accessed by the child component. A state cannot be accessed by the child components. Props are used to communicate between components, as I already told you. States can be used for rendering dynamic changes with the component. So both the things we have seen, a state as well as props. A stateless component can have props like functional components. Okay, so we do have two kind of components inside the React.js. One is the stateless component, which is called a functional component, and another is a stateful component, which is called class component. Okay, so a stateless component cannot have a state. Okay, then props make components reusable. However, a state cannot make components reusable. Props allow you to pass the data from one component to another component as an argument. Okay, and a state holds information about the components. Okay, let's go to the next question. It says what are the different phases of React component lifecycle. Okay, so the probability of this question being asked in any React interview is too high, so you may be facing this question every time. Okay, so the first phase is initial rendering phase. This is the phase when the component is about to start its life journey and make its way to the DOM. Okay, the second phase is updating phase. So once the component gets added to the DOM, it can potentially update the re-render only when a prop or a state changes occurs. That happens only in this phase. So all the updates will be taken care in this updating phase. And the last thing is unmounting phase. Okay, so this is the final phase of a component life cycle in which the component is destroyed and removed from the DOM. So after it's like update anything, the last thing will be unmounting phase. Okay, so these are some methods which you can tell to the interviewer, because sometimes they will ask you about the methods also, like what are the component lifecycle method. As I already told you, there is three phases: mounting, updating, and unmounting. Okay, so the first method is component will mount. The second method is component did mount. Third is component will receive props. Okay, fourth is should component update. Fifth is component will update. Okay, sixth is component did update, and seventh is component will unmount. So this is unmounting phase. Okay, and this three are this three are update phase, and this three are the mounting phase. Okay, so this is all about the top 10 most frequent asked question in React.js. Okay, we'll come up with the next 10 questions in the next session probably. So if you have some doubt, just put out your doubts and query in the comment section. We'll try to answer it. Okay, so thank you guys, have a nice day. Bye bye, take care.